They chuckled as Emily, a reserved teenage girl clad in grease-stained overalls, entered the prestigious garage, brimming with expert mechanics and high-end engines worth millions. "She is merely the mechanic's daughter," a voice murmured. However, what transpired next captured everyone's attention. A billionaire's bespoke hypercar refused to start, despite the efforts of elite engineers. Then Emily caressed the hood. In an instant, everything transformed. What she disclosed did not merely repair an engine, it obliterated every presumption held within the space. Before we dive in, please give this video a thumbs up and let us know your location in the comments. Your support enables us to share even more impactful narratives. Let us commence. Emily Parker lingered in the dimness cast by a massive garage door, which creaked open with a resonant metallic groan. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and the scent of machine oil lingered in the air. The chrome gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights, while engines as large as refrigerators lay open, their innards displayed like surgical patients, undergoing a delicate operation. Exceptional technicians in immaculate attire navigated their surroundings with an air of ownership. Some had backgrounds as race team engineers, others held PhDs in mechanical engineering, yet all of them paused in her presence. At the age of merely 17, she stood on the brink of a world filled with possibilities. Her hands bore the marks of time, rough and stained from countless hours spent alongside her father in their quaint auto shop. Her boots showed signs of wear, and her oversized flannel shirt was casually rolled up at the sleeves, exposing grease marks and faded scars. She appeared utterly mismatched, yet her gaze contained a quality that was absent in everyone else present, an unwavering certainty. At the heart of the room stood Charles Remington, the CEO of Remtech Automotive, a figure of immense wealth and influence within the state. He possessed the hypercar prototype languishing on the platform behind him, a marvel valued at over $6 million. It had ceased operations right in front of live investors just hours prior to a national unveiling. Leading engineers had arrived, yet no one could determine the reason it refused to start. Charles let out a soft laugh upon catching sight of Emily. "You are meant to be the source of amusement," he remarked. "The daughter of the mechanic, is that correct? Here to take a shot at it just for fun?" Joyful sounds danced through the air. One mechanic feigned the act of offering her a toy wrench. Another murmured, "Perhaps she can mend it with aspirations and visions." Emily remained unresponsive. She gazed at the vehicle. She had encountered the model previously just once, in a leaked concept video that she had committed to memory, frame by frame. Her father often remarked that engines communicate if you have the ability to hear them. She had absorbed every word throughout her existence. She approached the vehicle with deliberate slowness, while onlookers stepped back, their faces adorned with smirks. The car's interior glowed with an otherworldly brilliance, reminiscent of a spacecraft. Carbon fiber panels, gold-plated wiring, all cutting-edge technology. She bent down, lifted a small panel beneath the dash, and her fingers lingered over a chaotic mess of wires. Her lips formed words without sound. Then she reached into her pocket and revealed something unexpected, an old bent sensor chip. "Where did you obtain that?" One of the engineers let out a sharp breath. She remained silent. She linked it, fine-tuned 2 wires, then gently tapped the console. A soft murmur enveloped the atmosphere. The dashboard of the car illuminated. "The systems have been rebooted." Flashes of light illuminated the scene. The engine sprang to life with a powerful roar. Breathless exclamations, stillness, then turmoil. Mobile devices emerged. Engineers hurried ahead. Charles's jaw dropped, then contorted in astonishment. Yet Emily chose not to linger for the applause. She took a step back, cleaned her hands, and gazed at Charles. She stated with a composed demeanor that there is a design flaw in your thermal override loop. If the internal temperature sensor detects a reading below the threshold, it will initiate a shutdown. The diagnostics overlook it due to the sensor experiencing ghost pings while idling. No one uttered a sound, and just as she was about to walk away, Emily remarked quietly, "You ought to find more attentive listeners." The events that followed would alter the course of everything, for her, for Charles, and for the whole field. The garage stood still, as though time itself had come to a halt. Charles Remington's fingers remained poised in the air, his lips slightly parted, as if the words he intended to speak had been whisked away by the thunderous engine behind Emily. Silence enveloped the scene as if time itself had paused. The atmosphere, previously alive with assured conversations and gentle teasing, now throbbed with unspoken astonishment. She accomplished what others deemed impossible, and she did so with unwavering resolve, without seeking approval, and without a hint of trepidation. A young engineer named Cole finally shattered the quietude. She circumvented the internal failsafe using a manually adjusted sensor, he murmured, his gaze fixed on the dashboard readouts. She accomplished it in less than a minute. A soft voice murmured, "How could she possibly know what was amiss?" We dedicated 6 hours to running diagnostics. Emily had already moved closer to the garage door. She was not about to justify herself to those who had already judged her value the instant they laid eyes on her overalls. Yet Charles' voice pierced through the air, now crisp and infused with an unexpected intensity. Immediate attention required. "Cease. Hold on." Emily shifted her stance, allowing a glimpse of him as he drew nearer. His shoes clicked rhythmically on the immaculate tiles as he moved through the area. Yet, it was his expression that had undergone the most transformation. The hubris had vanished. In its place stood a whirlwind of emotions, confusion, curiosity, and an undercurrent of respect, struggling to break free from the chains of disbelief. He said slowly that you mentioned the flaw was in the thermal override loop. An early version of the AI software highlighted that issue, yet it was claimed to have been resolved. His gaze sharpened. "What made you realize it was still present?" Emily gazed directly into his eyes. Machines conceal the truth when instructed, to mask issues. I have little faith in code that conceals its errors. In the background, technicians meticulously reviewed her movements captured on the security footage. Some of them now regarded her as if she were not of this world, as though she had emerged from the pages of a tale and mended what was thought to be beyond repair. Some appeared to be on edge. Ultimately, if a teenage girl could achieve what they could not, what did that say about their own abilities? Charles examined her features intently. "Could you please tell me your name?" "Emily Parker." "So your father is David Parker? Parker's Auto Service? Are we off Route 9? She gave a single nod. Charles let out a deep breath, a sound that resonated. With significance. "He repaired my father's truck when others wouldn't even consider it. I recall that." A moment of silence lingered. Then he posed a question that took everyone by surprise. "Are you interested in a position?" Emily arched an eyebrow. "What are you up to? Correcting the errors made by your engineer?" Her voice carried no hint of sarcasm, only a serene honesty. A handful of individuals recoiled. Charles smiled, though it lacked the earlier smugness. It felt more intimate, subdued. Engines crafted with precision that require no repairs. Atmosphere hummed once more, yet there was a distinct change this time. Respect began to take the place of mockery. Appreciation took the place of amusement. Emily had just transformed the entire structure of that garage with a sensor chip, AI's wire, and a single sentence. Yet for her this was merely the start. For what remained hidden from everyone in that room was the fact that Emily harbored a secret, a thought she had kept silent, a dream she had hidden away, believing the world would never regard her with the seriousness she craved. And now all at once the world was paying attention. The workspace perched above the garage resembled a transparent cube suspended over a chaotic landscape of machinery. From this vantage point, Emily observed the whole workshop, the array of tools, the engines, and the technicians gliding through, the space in hushed reverence, as if a profound event had just unfolded. Charles Remington stood beside her, arms crossed, gazing through the tinted pane as if he were a commander, assessing the aftermath of a conflict that had transformed everything. "I need to understand," he finally said, his voice now softer, more genuine. "At the age of 17, where did you acquire the skills to perform like that down there?" Emily inhaled deeply. She had kept the entire story to herself, never sharing it with her friends or even her father. Yet as she stood there, a realization dawned upon her. She had stepped into the light. She had shattered every expectation the instant she unleashed that engine's roar. My dad has been tinkering with engines since long before I came into the world, she began. At the age of 5, he would allow me to organize bolts while he focused on his tasks. At the age of 9, I found myself repairing carburetors, driven not by necessity but by a genuine desire to do so. Charles absorbed every word, allowing the conversation to flow without interruption. The gravity of her words lingered in the atmosphere, as if they were reshaping the perception he had formed of her long before she stepped into his garage. However, she insisted that wasn't the true beginning. At the age of 12, my mother fell ill. Medical expenses began to accumulate. My father maintained the shop's operations, yet circumstances took a turn for the worse. Due to budget constraints, for new diagnostic tools, I took the initiative to develop software that could replicate their functions by utilizing only fundamental input sensors and logic arrays. Charles's eyes fluttered open and shut. Did you create software? At noon, Emily gave a slight nod. Initially it was straightforward, but then it expanded. I learned machine learning, diagnostics, and predictive failure mapping on my own, driven by necessity. If we couldn't find a way to outsmart the challenges, we would be overwhelmed by them. The silence enveloped the room once more, yet it was far from vacant. It was imbued with a weighty authenticity, reality, endeavor, untamed, genuine essence of being. Charles reclined against the edge of his desk. Your words reflect everything. I observed down there. The manner in which you circumvented our failsafe, adjusted the feedback loop and revived the dormant core. Was that entirely learned on your own? Emily gazed into his eyes with unwavering intensity. I never had the privilege of waiting for approval to seek knowledge. Beyond the glass, a cluster of seasoned engineers lingered by the engine, meticulously retracing her movements in a deliberate, almost cinematic manner, as if attempting to unravel an unfamiliar dialect. One of them glanced upward and gestured toward the office. The rest turned their eyes in the same direction. Charles observed them for a moment before redirecting his attention to Emily. Imagine if I revealed that this company has been working on a prototype for a fully autonomous adaptive engine, one that learns from its own failures, makes corrections mid-flight, and evolves according to real-time demands. Emily squinted, her gaze sharp and focused. It seems you are pursuing something that is already within reach. Charles took a moment to stop. You mean... I've been developing a design like that for 2 years, she said, rummaging through her well-used backpack and extracting a hefty notebook filled with tabs and blueprints peeking out from the edges. This is more than mere theory. It serves its purpose. It requires some polishing, yet it proves effective. He extended his hand toward the book with a deliberate slowness, as though the mere act of contact could fracture the fragile stillness of the moment. As he opened it, his gaze raced across the pages, absorbing her sketches, formulas, and designs like a treasure hunter, unearthing a trove right beneath him. Emily's voice pierced the stillness around him. Did you desire a miraculous engine? I constructed one in my basement as the world turned a blind eye to my efforts. In that moment, Charles Remington came to a chilling realization. This girl was no mere coincidence. She embodied what was yet to come. Charles Remington remained silent for several minutes. He turned each page with meticulous attention, his eyes soaking in every line Emily had crafted, every formula, every footnote, and every correction she had inscribed in the margins with a worn pencil. The notebook contained more than mere diagrams. It pulsated with life. It exuded creativity. It bore anguish. Each equation emerged from a place of hardship, restless nights, and the urgent demand of circumstance. At last, Charles shut the notebook and placed it softly on his desk, as if it were a treasured relic deserving of the utmost care. He gazed at Emily, a curious blend of wonder and skepticism washing over him, as though the reality he had always understood had suddenly split apart before his eyes. Do you grasp the implications of this, correct? He inquired, his tone hushed. I understand exactly what it means, Emily replied, her voice steady and clear. You are observing a system that transcends mere learning. It transforms. It adjusts to practical circumstances in manners that existing AI models are unable to. achieve. I honed it through simulated crisis scenarios, unpredictable failures, and even random pressure surges. Charles inhaled deeply, savoring the moment. We have groups, whole divisions, working to tackle just a small part of what you just presented to me. And Emily mentioned that the majority of them are not constructing engines, they are crafting their legacies. The stillness that ensued was far from void. It was vibrant, pulsating with energy. Charles abruptly rose to his feet, seizing his phone. He made the call, and in no time 3 high-ranking executives were heading up. Emily caught snippets from the call such as emergency review, priority override, and code black protocol. She was oblivious to their significance, yet she sensed the mechanisms turning. A monumental event was unfolding. Moments later, the glass door to the office swung open. 3 impeccably attired figures stepped inside, their gazes fixed on Emily with intense focus. A woman clad in a grey suit, a man holding a clipboard, and another individual sporting glasses, exuding an air of authority as if accustomed to delivering refusals. Without uttering a single word, Charles passed them the notebook. They perused it side by side, sharing fleeting looks, nodding thoughtfully, murmuring with fervor. Then the bespectacled man turned his gaze toward Emily. "Did you create this?" "Indeed," she replied. "What is the duration of your development process?" "Nearly 3 years," she responded. "Where did you conduct the test?" "In my garage, on simulation rigs crafted from repurposed aviation scrap." His brow knitted in concentration. "What about the data validation?" Emily delved into her backpack once more, retrieving a flash drive. Each trial, each setback, each achievement meticulously recorded and marked by time. The figure in the grey South drew nearer. "Can you imagine how this system, if it works, could transform airborne logistics, enhance combat drone response times, and even pave the way for interplanetary travel?" "I know," Emily remarked. "That is the reason I arrived here. I was curious to find out if anyone was genuinely committed to transforming the landscape or merely participating in it." Silence enveloped the room. Then Charles took an action. That caught Emily completely off guard. He moved to the side. "Esteemed colleagues, allow me to introduce the promising future of our organization." In an instant, the world shifted. These leaders, individuals who had constructed vast enterprises, who had inked billion-dollar agreements and managed groundbreaking technology, were regarding her not as a mere youth, not as an anomaly, but as an equal, a trailblazer, a powerful presence. And that was the moment when an unusual occurrence took place. The man with the glasses, who had remained silent in kindness until this moment, approached her. "What is the timeline for creating a full-scale prototype?" "I've already begun," Emily stated, "but I require access to superior materials and a tidy space." The lady inclined her head in agreement. "It will be yours." Charles advanced once more. "Emily, I have a proposal for you. A prestigious role, granting complete access to our laboratories, clear paths, tangible outcomes. This will be under your guidance." Emily gazed through the glass wall at the garage below. A space that had once been a source of ridicule now felt like a distant realm. Then she pivoted around. "I did not come here to seek acceptance," she stated. "I arrived to transform it all." From that moment forward, the company was destined to change forever. The following morning, the ambience within the lab seemed altered. It had transformed from a lifeless space occupied by isolated individuals pursuing mere numbers. It had transformed into a springboard. Engineers, researchers, and technicians surrounded Emily as if she were a maestro poised to reveal a magnificent orchestration. This time, the music would surge at exhilarating speeds, redefining the very principles of contemporary flight. Emily entered the central chamber, transformed with advanced military-grade equipment and a cutting-edge fabrication pod. The walls glowed with the designs of her AI-integrated propulsion system. She found herself surrounded by resources she had previously only encountered in academic articles. Liquid-phase graphene, cryo-cooled superconductors, and nanoreactive alloys. What had required her 3 years of improvisation and experimentation could now be reconstructed in just 30 days with unparalleled accuracy. Yet she took her time. Each movement was deliberate, Each calibration underwent a thorough double-checking process. Emily was crafting something extraordinary. She was crafting her enduring impact. In the meantime, whispers of her creation started to circulate, not from official statements or online platforms, but through hushed conversations in defense meetings, confidential government briefings, and urgent communications circulating among tech industry leaders. Some believed it to be a fabrication. Some believed it was an idea taken without permission, yet there was a consensus among all. The one who possessed it grasped the destiny ahead. One evening, as Emily meticulously adjusted the AI's decision matrix, Charles entered the room, clutching a sealed envelope. He set it down on the desk next to her and remarked, "The Pentagon wishes to have a conversation with you. On the morrow." Confidential meeting, independent living. Emily took a moment to reflect. What is the reason behind this? There is a belief that your engine has the potential to supplant satellite-dependent drone networks, render existing air dominance models outdated, and perhaps even disrupt the stability of nations. She gazed upward with a serene demeanor. That was never my aim. I understand. Yet upheavals seldom seek approval. That night, Emily lay awake. She sat in solitude within the lab, her gaze fixed on the simulated engine as it whirled in the virtual render. A multitude of variables cascaded across the screen. Nevertheless, the AI adjusted instantaneously, acquiring knowledge, enhancing, transforming. It had transcended its mechanical origins. It was a thought. As the first light of dawn broke, she stepped into a sleek black SUV, guided by two individuals in casual attire. She was taken to a secret airfield. There are no indications. Without any logos, merely a hangar and a conference room concealed beneath it. A gathering of high-ranking officials, both civilian and military, awaited inside. No salutations, only inquiries. Can it be turned into a weapon? Indeed, she replied. If one desires it to be, is it capable of functioning on its own? It already does. Is it possible to instruct it on how to protect a no-fly zone? It might learn to discern when to refrain. Whispers echoed throughout the space. At last, the individual seated at the head of the table began to speak. "Miss Walker, do you understand the consequences of deploying a system capable of surpassing all existing aerial assets?" "I know," Emily replied, unwavering. "However, there is something you ought to keep in mind as well. I created it to protect lives. Aim to avoid setbacks, avoid inciting conflict. If your sole inquiry revolves around how to exploit it, I will take my leave. Quietude." Then the man reclined gradually. "What is it that you desire?" "I desire complete control. Freedom from governmental oversight. No hidden projects. No covert financial manipulation. I wish to implement it with a focus on humanitarian principles, salvage operations, response to wildfire, essential logistics for transportation. I aim to demonstrate that the future can be embraced rather than dreaded." They gazed at her, utterly astonished. She remarked, "And if you refuse, I will construct it elsewhere." The events that unfolded next left everyone in disbelief. The official from the Pentagon rose to his feet and reached out his hand. "The rules have just been altered." Emily gave it a good shake. She transitioned from repairing malfunctioning radios in a garage to advising generals on the future of aerial operations, and she was only beginning her journey. 3 weeks later, Emily found herself at the edge of a secluded airfield in Nevada, gazing at the aircraft that would serve as the inaugural real-world trial for her groundbreaking engine. It bore no resemblance to a typical aircraft. Streamlined and metallic, lacking the conventional exhausts or wings, it bore a striking resemblance to a bird caught in the act of transformation. Its shape is sleek, yet graceful. The AI crafted it by studying countless natural flight patterns, eagles, falcons, and even dragonflies, melding them into a form that challenged every textbook ever penned. A throng had assembled. Engineers, investors, military officials, humanitarian leaders, and reporters poised with cameras ready and anticipation in the air. Yet, a solitary figure lingered by the hangar. It was Chase. He arrived without an invitation, clad not in his customary tailored suits, but in jeans and a plain grey sweater. For the first time he resembled the man who once guided Emily in soldering a circuit, rather than the CEO who sought to take away her future. She approached him with purpose. "Have you arrived to prevent me?" He shook his head in disbelief. "I arrived to discover what I had overlooked." Emily gave a single nod. "You overlooked it all." She pivoted and strode toward the platform, where the AI-operated aircraft rested, its gentle hum filling the air. She placed her hand on the biometric scanner. A gentle chime signaled her presence, and the cockpit slid open. However, she was not accepted. Instead, she lifted a microphone and confronted the audience that was watching. "This goes beyond a mere flight test. This demonstrates that hope rather than greed can be the catalyst for innovation. Through intellect, not force. I crafted this engine with the vision that a girl repairing radios in a dusty garage might someday redefine the principles of motion, not to dominate the heavens but to share them with all." The plane ascended silently into the sky. Clear skies, there is no fire, only stillness, an upward glide, as if the very principles of gravity had decided to pause for a moment. Gasping sounds echoed through the atmosphere. Then it ascended, directly stated, quicker than the speed of sound. At 1,000 feet, it turned gracefully and twirled. Indeed, I danced. Across the sky, winding, exploring the depths, ascending once more, as if it possessed a spirit. The cameras had difficulty keeping it in focus. The radar failed to establish a lock on it. Emily stood with her arms crossed, gazing at the sky as if she had always been a part of it. In just a few moments, the aircraft was back. It descended softly onto the surface. The artificial intelligence had recorded no mistakes, no delay whatsoever. In a moment of quiet brilliance, Emily's creation had broken every record known to history. Journalists rushed ahead. The representative from the Pentagon was already on the line. Worldwide technology. Networks started broadcasting it in real time. An encrypted message was dispatched by the UN in under an hour. It was unfolding. Later that night, in the quiet of the lab, Emily found herself seated alone, cradling a warm cup of tea. Their reflections glimmered in the glass beside the slumbering aircraft in the background. Charles entered, cradling a box in his hands. "What is that?" she inquired. He unsealed it. Within lay a solitary nameplate. It stated Emily Walker, creator, dreamer, child of potential. She offered a subtle smile, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Shall no," Charles remarked, "your mother would have been proud." Emily raised her gaze, her voice unwavering. "She is already. She resides in every connection, every fastener, every aspiration I hold on to fiercely." Beyond, the stars twinkled, quietly in the night sky, and high above them, a new engine, her engine, was poised to transform the way the world moved, for all time. The daughter of the waitress, once mocked for her interaction with a violin, had just shown the world the art of flight. The tale concludes, yet the legacy is just starting to unfold.